Oh cool, now it should sound. I haven't automated the muting, unmuting between the scenes in OBS. I don't really know how, but I haven't looked into it. Thanks for noting. I'm going to. Today I have two problems to solve. Day 7 and because they didn't got time yesterday to solve yesterday's problem. I'm going to try to solve it today also. And later, but depending on how much time I have, I'm going to try to solve today's problem also, which is probably a really good start for one of those virtual machines. And we'll probably end up with some reverse engineering too. So I'm really looking forward to today's problem, but one day at a time. Yesterday's problem, yesterday's puzzle is simply that I have got to the airport in the story, and now there is a luggage issue. So I have a shiny gold bag. But it can be carried in another bag, which can be carried in another bag as well. So in this case, in this example, the bright white bag contains one shiny gold bag, and the muted yellow bags can contain two shiny gold bags, which in turn means that the muted yellow bags can actually contain into those bags also, which in turn can be contained in other bags. So if I recall the puzzle correctly, how many bags colors can eventually contain at least one shiny gold bag? So I need to basically filter out in a puzzle input which of those bags can potentially contain a shiny gold bag. And there are many combinations. So, for example, the bright yellow bag can contain no other bags, which means that it's pretty safe to say that it's not there. But that means that if looking forward, there might be cases where dim crimson bag contains 3 of those, but yeah. So I need to track down those issues, that 3. In my case, I'm going to test with this input, because that makes sense to test in small set first. And I'm going to import it as market destination formatting, and I put in that input field sheet. So my first issue is not really actually to start a problem itself, but actually parse it, because parsing itself is quite interesting in Excel. So my input is just going to be pasted in the input sheet, in this case. Then I'm going to call a sheet just parse, because in this case I need to be able to, in some sense, make a table that I can just have to much easier address the different fields. I have not tried this problem before, but I've tried similar, which means that I have an idea of how to go forward in this to solve this. But we'll see. I have, by the way, recording on. Great, so I don't forget that. So in this case, I'm going to do some. Yeah. I am not going to use the bags here, which means that shiny gold bags and dark olive bags this plural will be a bit of a problem, because it's and the dots and everything like that. So my first thought is that I'm going to replace all bags with bag, because doing so I can just assume everything is bag. Singular or plural, which means that I can do substitute, I think. Replace. Dang. Replace text with I should be able to how to complete that. Like, yeah. Input A1. Because now I have light red bag contains 1 and blue bag. I am also going to substitute the dot at the end, because that doesn't make sense. And in this case, if I can simplify it even further to have light red contains 1 bright white, comma. Hi Eva, welcome to the stream. I'm going to try to resolve two puzzles today. I'm fine. I'm really fine. Didn't sleep that well tonight, so I'm a bit tired, but I'll manage. How are you? So today I'm going to solve a luggage problem. That's much simpler. Yeah, no worries actually. I just been up too late. Shit happens. And then I had a meeting 8:40, so that's as usual. So this one is going to be bold. Oh, sorry. And view freeze panes, freeze stop pane. Yep, nice. Just for the record, the puzzle I'm going to solve today, if you want to read through it, it's the story in this case, just for update, is that I should go on a Christmas trip, on a vacation during Christmas. And so far I then took the sled that, what type of sled is it called by the way? I think was the toboggan. And toboggan is one of those, toboggan, yeah it's called. It's one of those sleds. So I've been taking that sled to the airport. And trying to check in and board the plane, but now there is a luggage issue. So the current problem is that I have a shiny gold bag. It says here. That shiny gold bag can be in another bag. According to a table, that's, for example, a bright white bag can contain 1 shiny gold bag. A muted yellow bag can contain 2 shiny gold bags and 9 faded blue bags. But a muted yellow bag can be contained in those two. So I need to determine how many types of bags can contain a shiny gold bag. So it's a bit of how to produce stuff in the replicator in the Subnautica. The what's it called? I've lost the name now. Where you create things at least. So, but the thing is that this little problem here can be solved by hand. My input is this table. So I have a lot more So I need to automate it. But the first issue is actually having it as strings makes it really hard. So I need to try to parse it in some way so I can split it everywhere. And the thing is that, so I have it currently, the example input has this weird format with bags, and it has commas and dots, and so I've simplified it. And the only thing I want to simplify even further is the no other, because no other just means that it's an empty list. So it contains actually no information. The non-existing, nothing existing there is good enough. So no other is, so I'm basically building a list for, oh sorry. Yeah. So now you have the faded blue contains the nothing. That's enough. So location of, so to be able to split it, I'm going to have location of contain. Location of comma equals index, no, find. So if I find the starting position of contain in this one, I basically have the length of the string, which means that if I freeze A here, that means that I now want to be able to find the first comma. But I'm going to do that from the previous one plus 1. In this case it doesn't matter because contains doesn't contain anything. But when I go like this, I should have all the commas in this table. So I have the position of number 33. And I don't know how many in my inputs. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't make sense to be much more than 5 or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, let's keep the 5 for now. Because now I could be able to have target and contain. Let's call it like that. Which is the going from that one to 1 and get 10 characters should bring me the name of the target. Which means that if I can, because what I want to do, my goal with this sheet is to be able to have a table for where I know which part this contains. And it's going to contain I'm going to take this in 2 steps, by the way, also. First I'm going to dig out the blocks, yes, the one bright white, I think. Is there, by the way, any numbers that are 10 or so? Because I don't really care in the first part of how many bags is. Yes, the existence of bag is enough for me. Do I have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? I don't think so. Nice, that's great. Because that means I can do mid equals mid $A1. If I start from this one plus 8, 9 should be the first letter after contain. And that one minus 9 should be the number of it should be like that. Let's skip that one and just see if my because I want to get now is the one bright white is my goal. Oh, A2. Yeah, one bright white, that's great. And if I go 10 there, it's... I lost that one, right. So 11 is bright white, just. That means I should be able to do, let's say I drop the first one. And this is just simply to be able to, yeah, now I have bright white there. Awesome. So that's the first one, and if error, nothing. So in this case I know that the dark orange, bright white contains one shiny gold, right. In this case I can, yes, because I don't care about if it's too far off. I get my shiny gold here. Yeah, well, that's actually the thing about the code for me. It's that I really push my limits. This is too complicated for me too. That's why I'm trying to break it down. In any case, the whole issue about I'm going to solve just do 3 more columns here. Because what I want to do now is that I want to be able to add 2 there. 4. Because now I can dig out each one. I'm gonna explain a little bit just when this is done. Try to explain. The thing is that when looking at the problem, like what I like about trying to do this is I want to push my limits. So in this case, there is a lot of problems. It's just looking at it from a sheer point of knowing some Excel and then knowing the problem statement itself. It's a huge problem. You don't know where to tackle it. So what I'm trying to do, and what I'm trying to learn by looking at this, and actually what I want to be able to see if I can bring to others also, is the ability to divide the problem into some smaller problems. And in this case, there is some really quite many problems in the series I need to solve one at a time, but it's not that obvious. The most obvious problem is actually what is described by being able to find the bags, but I have not even started with that. But to do that, I need to be able to pre-parse data, I need to do things like that. And when breaking it down to each and every sub-problem, each problem is then not that huge anymore. For example, we have a lot of data, but just looking at one line, I need to make sense of this data. So being able to split, just know that I need to know what target bag and what source bags it is, because I have a path. I can look at that, and how can I determine, ignore the targets, but just the source, how can I isolate that one? Well, I see a problem like contain, a word like contain. Can I locate that? Well, just being able to break it down. For example, so I have located the contain, the word contain. How many letters into the string is it starts contain? And when I know that, I can use that information to build up all the problems. So just looking at, for example, where contain is in this one, I can look here and see that, okay, I want to know that where the first word is. And then I can use the location of my previous knowledge. So for me, this is actually two parts, to be able to actually try to divide it, because, well, it might not be easy, but being able to divide the problem is really helpful in trying to solve those, and it's a way of improving, I think. Much like pushing hours into GeoGuessr to be able to learn more, just improve. You need to push your limits every time, but to start doing counter streaks for someone who never played it is just never gonna work. But you need to start by learning something, some minor parts. So for me, this is really much about trying to improve the ability to actually divide the problems and try to solve problems in ways that wasn't possible. And also, when dealing with this, in this case, it's doesn't look like, well, it looks like much data, but the amount of data in this case is not that much actually when looking at it as a computer. It's just a few thousand lines. But when you process it, you often need to, the trivial solution for this case is that, for example, if I want to see if the shiny gold bag, I can look through each and every line and see if there is a shiny gold bag. Look at for where is it contains a drab Solomon bag, which means that the next one, and next, which I need to check again by traversing everything here again, which means that the simplest, the code-wise simplest solution is to traverse the entire file once per line, which means that if I have 1,000 lines, that ends up with 1 million traversals, 1 million line checks, and that starts to add up. I could even imagine that this will end up in a complexity, which means that for each line you add basically a few extra checks, which means that you can probably end up with 1 billion tests and so on. So next level is that when I see a simple solution, that might not be the best solution. That might not even be a feasible solution. It might work in this case here, because if I traverse each line every time, for each line, if I traverse the entire file again, in this case I have 9 lines, which means that I'm up to 81 checks, 9 squared, which is really fast. But 1 million is doable in a computer. 1 billion starts taking a little bit of time. You will notice that it takes a few seconds, probably, or maybe even more, given computer language. But when doing Excel, I can't have more than 10,000 checks basically, or 50,000 maybe. So I need to be much more efficient. But that means that currently I know that my input data is this one. So I want to make a table. so that I know that, which means that yeah. So my problem now is that I want to, I have here shiny gold, but that can be over here also. So I want to know which of those targets is for each one of shiny gold, and I want to be able to recurse. And the thing is that to be able to, so my first task will be to be able to find all bags which possibly can contain which possibly can be a shiny gold bag. Then I want the next problem, part of the problem is to find all bags that directly can contain the bags I already found, because that one I can try to start again. So in this case, I'm going to be able to do that search, I need to simplify it by a table. So in this case, I'm going to make a table of all those lines. And I'm going to do it by referring to them, so I can change the input data later. And on top row, I am going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it like offset reference. I'm going to hi, Miss Liability. Welcome to stream. I'm trying to solve a program puzzle today. This is about the program puzzle I'm trying to solve. Currently I'm at day 7. And you can read that problem there. I'm trying to do it in Excel, which is not the intended way, but it's really fun. And I'm going to do it like $B. I've had issues with this before, which means that can now, yeah, cool. So what I've done here is just the rows here is just the input data, the first type of input data. In this case, I'm using offset to be able to have the exact same table horizontally. So basically, I've just said that for each cell, B1 should be there. Doesn't matter, but still. So for each cell, let's look at this one. I'm going to take the value of that cell offsetted, which means that I'm going to take it a couple of rows down, because I have row offset here, which is the same distance from that cell sideways. Doing so, I can actually have the same data. So if I add something here, it will update also up there. Because now I want to see that if I have a muted yellow bag, which bag can that contain by having number here, is my goal. And I'm going to format it a bit by like so. Nope. Let's do it smaller. Which means that if I have a shiny gold bag, it should be able to contain her. So now I have the table. Now I need to fill this table. So I am going to check if in this cell, I know that's the same order as parse. So I'm going to check if in this cell match, if this value is part of this data. Because if that value is part of that data, and it should need to be an exact match, I need to freeze that one, and I need to freeze that one and that one. Then I know that it can be contained there. And I thought it should be possible, because shiny gold bag. Let's see, again. Alright, B1 should be, and B should not be freezed. The shiny gold bag should be part of the bright white. So bright white should have a shiny gold. That one should be possible there. So not available. J4 and 4 is J4 and 4. That's that line. Right. Is it possible? I think there might be a transpose. It might be that the array needs to be vertical, not horizontal. Have they added a transpose function now? I think I didn't have it last year. That's really helpful, if it's possible. But I have a feeling that it might be an issue that this array is transposed. Wasn't so. I'm gonna check transpose just for, because this might be really helpful. Nope. Can't do. So let's just check if I can simplify it by saying that say that if shiny gold is part of this array, yeah, now I have it as shiny gold. Faded blue then, because that's the other end. Yeah, and I find it by the second number here. That's fine. So the problem was not really that part, but I'm expecting it to be so since that we find a comma sign, I have a feeling that it might actually end with a space. So let's say if we can just trim away spaces. Remove spaces except for single spaces between words, exactly. So I'm going to trimmer to just get rid of all spaces, because I think the strings was not available. Because it's a difference between shiny gold space and shiny gold not space. And then the last, this one, trim which means that looking at now, we see that we have numbers. Numbers itself doesn't really make sense in this case because they are the location in the list. No worries, Eric. Well, questions always welcome. But I don't even since I don't even expect visitors, so I'm planning to solve it myself. But if anyone has questions or want to have ideas or is thinking about something, I'm really open for questions and ideas. But I'm not expecting it. So the number here is which place in this array, which means that if it's the first or second of those numbers, but the order it doesn't matter, which means that the only thing that really matters is the case that if I can find it, if I can't find it. So I'm going to change it to have is error instead. Doing so, I can see that right. Match $B $1. So, looking at, we see that we have false if the bag doesn't contain, but we want to have true instead. So I'm going to invert it. When I formatted this, I'm going to do a little bit of recap again. I'm going to take the entire conditional formatting, new rule, and say that if it contains salary value equals to true. I actually have formats, needs a format also. Fill is going to be dark green. So in this case, I see that my shiny gold bag is contained in dark olive and vibrant blue, which can be seen in input data. Dark olive and my shiny gold bag contains a dark olive and vibrant blue, which can be seen here. But I can also see that my shiny gold bag is contained in bright white and muted yellow. Those two can be contained in those two. So here I have my table. Okay, I'm going to change this between true false because I want to have it as a number because there is an issue in next round which actually when looking forward. So if it is an error, I am going to say that there is no contain. So I'm going to keep it as 0 and 1 instead. And manage rule to set it as if it's equals to 1. Because I think that makes more sense the next step. But still the same table. I can do lookups. Because now I have data which is much more searchable. So in this case, I still need to have the target bags containing let's say it is best bags as title. Because what I want to do next is to be able to search for the shiny gold bag. So my first thing to do is just to have to get the bag types. Again, I need to fetch those. Yeah, that's crazy. That's really crazy. Not fetch Belgium in 1-1. Because Belgium has been quite common, I think, in count streaks. As I recall, I hear Belgium, 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 then once Sweden, then so I think. Dang, it's not some selection. Let's say part 1, because now we're actually going to solve the part 1. Freeze pane, freeze stop, bro. So this is that line. And I want to find the shiny gold is what I want to find in this list. So if this one equals the name, this is basically just to start everything off. So B is gonna freeze and 1 is gonna freeze. So now I can see that the shiny gold is itself a shiny gold bag. Next row is that I want to be able to take to see if I can find which bags contain the next one. So my first issue is to see which bags. I want to have a list here that contains a list of all those bags that shiny gold bag can be contained in, but not the bag itself. I'm going to add it later. And there is a function that's called sum product. And sum product is an interesting function. I'm going to see if I can look it up in the help. What it does is basically that if I take sum product, I'm gonna just to show you of two lists, and it's helpful in this case. If I take this list of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers, for example, and I take two lists there, for example, it will take first element in the first list times next first element in the second list plus first element the second element times second element. So it will basically be A1 times B1 plus A2 times B2 and so on. Will make more sense then. So if I take, for example, if I have prices here, 12, 13, 14, 57, like that, then I have counts. It will take the price times the count and add those up. So if I have one of 12, I can have 2 14. It will try to add it up. So in this case, it's 12 plus 2 times 14, 28, 30, 40. So it's basically a function that can calculate the total price if I have a list of sums, counts, and a list of prices, or anything regarding this formula. In this case, clear contents, I'm gonna use that because if I have a count of how many let's say I take 2000 numbers here. If I have a list of the bags if I have one shiny gold bag but nothing of the others, I can in theory take that to this table and say that I want to map it to this list. I don't know how far I'm going to do right. Since that means that I will add up all those that has shiny gold. So that they'll find the bright white and mute yellow, because 1 times 1 is 1. My problem here is that this is transpose probably the wrong direction of this one. Or is it the wrong length, maybe? How many did I find there? So it's a count of 18. That means I should go up to 20. $19 maybe. I don't really get why I can't do this. All right. Just for the sake of argument, I'm gonna try to flip it over and say that B19. Right. It seems like the sum product can't work if I have different directions of the list. So I'm gonna flip this table. And flipping table is possible. So I'm gonna transpose it so I have it in other direction, so I can use the columns instead, because that will make more sense. It will still be the same table, but it means that I can't. Okay, yes, I'm going to do it even simpler. I'm gonna call it table flipper. And I'm gonna make it like offset table. This is going to be the exact same table, but just transposed. Table $A $1 column -1 row -1, because we start by index like that. So in this case, it's going to be the exact same table, but we have flipped it, transposed it. Gonna do a conditional formatting. And I'm gonna show why just after format. Same equals to 1, format dark green background. Okay. So if you look at this table, you see that this goes up here. It goes down instead. So instead, I can, in this case, well, if I want to find the shiny gold bag, which is my goal in life, I was about to say, I can see that, does this contain a shiny gold bag? Yes, that one contains a shiny gold bag. And then I can go for a dark vibrant. Does this contain the dark olive? Yes, so I can instead of looking that in one direction, I can look in that direction. Is it contained in versus does it contain? So when looking at this one, I can do instead table flip. Let's put 1 there. I use that one. Which means that I can do 1000 table flip 2000 2 something doesn't right, but I need to offset this table. Maybe not the best way anyway. And I need to offset it so I take the right row instead. Which is kind of take. Cool. This is annoying, by the way. Because what I want to do is I want to create a list of I need to go back to actually see what the issue is. The shiny gold bag. I want to find bright white and muted yellow. Which means that shiny gold can be contained in I want to multiply it by this row. So it is actually table. Since I have one there, I want to be able to multiply this list with, for each row, this list. Which means that for dark, this list. For bright white, the fifth element is 1, which will multiply by gold, shiny gold. So it is actually not offsetted by, I want to be multiplied by exactly C. I want to have a table basically this one. And this is one of I really need to search for Excel because this is one of my main problem is that I have one row to multiply by one column. So I'm gonna use the internet. If column exactly. mmult makes sense because that's matrix multiplication of 1. And valid with control shift enter. That's not what I want to do. mmult might actually same in this case. But now the problem is that there are different dimensions. So I need to be specific about dimensions. So let's keep it to the same, to a square. I'm gonna keep it to 20 currently. Which means that down to 21, right. Because that will help me a lot, I think. 21 and there. B and U. And in this case it's right. So why doesn't this work? Table, the fifth is a 1 and B2 right. B4 and the fifth is 1. It should really be a 1 there. Let's double check. Is it one of those issues where I need to do an array operation? No. Here's because there is one of those operations where you can handle it as an array, which is don't ask me, it's messy. Number of columns in an array must be the same as number of rows in array 2. And it is. Which means I get out 1 value. But I just want to have the let's do it with some product. It should be possible to use a transpose. I don't really get why transposes work. This is so hard to understand. And this is exactly why Excel is not a good tool for anything. I don't understand why anyone use it. Especially not solving additive code. Should be a really simple issue. What if we do count? We can do it another way. Count can we add them together as arrays and then see if that's true instead. Because I think and is also should also be able to handle that. I have done things like this earlier, I'm pretty sure. Sorry about the confusion. This is one of those really simple issues that is extended to be huge in Excel. I'm gonna double check one thing. Because I think I have a solution for it in last year. Which I'm browsing off screen right now. Not this one. open it's so hard to see. Nope, can't find it. So no one actually, no viewers actually knows how to do this, and there might be someone in there who can do it next one. Because if I have, let's say I want just to be able to test it, I have 4 there, 0, 1, 0, 1. What I want to do is to sum product of this array and this array. And I can't do it. So if I do them mmult, which is the same thing, but not really the same thing, but in this special case it should be the same. And this should actually be that times that, plus that times that, plus that times that. That it gets to 0. Doesn't make sense at all. It's something like or is it like I have wrong the order of okay, I had the wrong order in my mmult. Because the matrix multiplication, which is the order dependent. So if I put the table first, now we're talking. Now we're on track again. So shiny gold bag can be contained in a muted yellow and a bright white, which is according to the example. But it can also be itself. So I need to take that one plus, which means that I can now see that thanks anyway, Eva. So now I can see that shiny gold can be itself, and this can be muted yellow. Which means that I can now continue. And in the end, I can see that everything that has more than 0 here, the more 1 or more, can be contained. So after a couple of iterations, we stabilize and get no more. So we have that one, then those 3, then those 4. So the end result is the count we have over here. Because we want to know which bags it is. So in this case it's 5. I think it was count. Okay. So in this case the number of bag colors that it can eventually contain, which means that, okay, it is excluded the shiny gold, which means that everything except the shiny gold. But I'm gonna keep shiny gold anyway. But just remove that in the end. And I'm going to say that if that is more than 0, then 1, otherwise 0, because otherwise it's just gets more. I'm gonna do some formatting here. So in this case, conditional formatting, to be able to see what happens if cell value equals greater than or equals to 1. I'm gonna say that it's a green, like that. Manage rules, and it's applied to the entire sheet, I think. I will say A1 to Okay, let's see the entire sheet then. Greater than or equal to 1. Recreate it, because I can't. Delete rule. Whatever. That's really ugly. How can... Really? Okay. Let's say equal to 1. Makes more sense. Thanks, Max Liability. So my solution is that for part 1 is this line, but on my input data. So I need to extend it to my to use my input data instead of this example. But first I'm going. Right, you're right. So my input data is going to be here. Clear contents, paste, and match style. Delete that. So my parse needs to be a lot bigger. So for the sake of argument, I'm gonna keep, I don't know how many lines this. Let's check number of lines. We have 500, 600 about, so I'm gonna go up to 700, 650. $595, $594, that's correct, because I have a title in this one. That means I'm gonna go to, did I say 650? That's the last one. Right, it last was 650. And now I need to extend this one also to 650. View, freeze panes, freeze top row, freeze fast column. I should have freeze top row. Right, now that's freezed. Freeze fast column. Okay. Okay. Just to be able to identify it, I'm going to keep the last here. Because now I should be able to find it over here. What would you use if you had to do this fast as possible? Not Excel, I imagine. Yeah. As fast as possible, I would probably go with a quite low-level language, maybe C. But the thing is that in the end, it's always a trade-off between as fast as possible and as useful as possible. And there are languages that are really good. I mean, really good, but also have some usability and some, because when you go into real world, you also have reliability as an issue. You really need to get it to not work as fast as possible, but you need to know that what it does has as little bugs as possible. So I would definitely go into, for example, a language called Rust, which has memory protection natively by in the compiler. And then also when you go up, this is quite the isolated issue, but also you get to issues as multitasking. How can you use all this? My CPU here has 12 cores, which means that it can handle 24 different tasks due to hyperthreading. Can you use everything of those? Hi Pete. Yeah, so I started last year also. Was doing 50 stars in Excel last year, so I thought I'd follow this. But it's so fun to do those issues. Those. Right. So here we have table flip. Table flip was not one I'm gonna use because I'm not using table flip. Delete. This one I'm using. Cool. When you were doing it last year, what did you use for languages? And did you have just any goals more than solving it, or? Because I've seen very many people using now I'm confused. Something's mixed up in my data. Delete. B650. XZ. So in this case, I'm just trying to do exactly the same thing I was doing earlier, but I'm trying to do it so. I was actually streaming the Narnia Cache CTF from over the wire a while back, but so I still have it in. If you look on my new tabs, I still have over the wire here. I was doing Narnia. I think I have the documentation left, but I ended up to the last day because of time, and then I didn't start next stream right. But I was doing that in one stream basically. Oh. Right. I don't know why. That's actually not being angry for actually trying to share knowledge. I don't like that. In fact, in this case, that's why I really love Advent for Code, because I've been doing this for last year, doing it on Excel. I've been sharing the solutions. I've been streaming it, and I've been announcing that I was streaming it. And as for what I can tell, I've been tweeting it and about solving it, and I'm trying to help people also. And the response I get from the creator is basically that Eric Wastl has retweeted my tweets about solving it, and so many times. So I always get positive response here because sharing knowledge means that people getting better. And everything about those should be about gaining knowledge. The competing part about not showing anything is basically just no, I don't like it. So B2 to XZ2, how many numbers is that? B2 to XZ2, because I think it's a miscount somewhere. That's 649, and it should be 650. 649 times 649, 2 to 1, 650. Then it's 2 to 650. 649. So is there a limit in M? Hope is not a limit in M mult because that's would be so Excel. Just saying that no, I'm not gonna handle that much data. Can't. No. What's the issue? Trace error. Oh, right. Just keep it as 0 if it's not an error. That's fine. Nice. Because now I can use the same formula as before. In this case, I think I will say that every time I just gain more. So I'm gonna know to see that. Awesome, cool, thanks. I was planning to actually stream today's challenge also, but I think this will take too much time to be able to, because I need to leave end stream at 6 o'clock today, unfortunately. C2, C650. Dang. Let's see, because I need to continue until I end up with all the numbers I have. So in this case, I have 379 bags containing or is the silver, the golden bag. And so focus on challenge chat. Yeah. For me, this was basically just a problem because I was stuck in an Excel function, which is the sum product of a row and a column. A simple thing that I have a row of data. I want to do a sum product to get to a column, but I don't have a debugging tool for more complex formulas that is useful, and it just said error. Ended up with using the matrix multiplication of a row and a column because I need it, but the help in the Excel is really bad. It's terrible. And I have no debugger, so I can't really say that if I do this formula, what is the data result as an array. For example, evaluate a function and evaluate the formula and get a presented just for debugging purposes. In this case, I usually have an info field. I have part 1 and the result for this one equals part 1 end up here -1 because it's a shiny gold bag. So 378 should be the correct value. Let's see. 378. That's the right answer. So part 1 is done. Consider again the shiny gold bag from ruled bow. Contains the faded blue bag contains 0 bags. Other bags. Contains 11 other bags. 5. A shiny gold bag must contain 1 dark gold bag plus 2 vibrant. Getting pretty expensive to fly this is not because of the ticket price, but because of the ridiculous number of bags you need to buy. Consider again your shiny gold bag and the rules that from above. Dark olive bag and vibrant. Dark olive faded and dotted. Vibrant plume. Hmm? So a single shiny gold bag must contain one dark olive bag. And 7 within. So a single gold bag must contain 1 dark olive. Shiny gold bag contains 1 dark olive bag and 2 vibrant plume. Okay. So in this case, it's basically the same problem, but instead of existence of bag, I need to actually handle it, actually count them. So, but that means I need to flip this table anyway, because I need to look up in other direction, because now this table says that how many. I'm gonna check for one thing. Offset function. Right, I think I can. I'm gonna duplicate this because I want to be able to update this formula. I have a feeling that it's possible. Nope, I'm gonna duplicate. View copy. So part 2. First of all, I need to extend my parsing because now it's not okay just to have it's not okay just to have the what type of bag it is, but also the count. So in this case, I'm gonna say the count, but I'm still gonna keep the same order, but not the not values. So I know from start here that if you look at it, I know the location of each comma and I know location of contain, which means that I can say that the first digit after in the original text, if I take the first digit of contain plus 9 and one of those, I get 5, which means that this means 5 dotted blue. And in this case, I need to convert to an integer because otherwise I can't do calculation on it. So otherwise, it's string containing the letter blue, letter 5. The next thing is about the same, but I need to reference it to a lock. And in this case, instead of adding 9, which is space contain space, containing 7 letters, I need to add 9, which is the offset. So that means that I'm gonna do plus 1, I think, comma space 1, 2, possibly. And it's 5. So I need to extend it for 5. Yep. So in this case, going to this table again, I'm actually going to... Yeah, it's going to be fine because I can add the counts in here instead. When I have the match, I can actually do a offset, which means that instead of just looking at the value, sorry, if it's an error, if it is an error, if error, I'm gonna keep to 0 anyway. Otherwise, I'm gonna do the value. So in this case, this lookup. So for if the dotted line, I'm gonna rewrite this. For a line of dotted line in parse, I have wavy green and the pale beige in marked here. Wavy green and pale beige, exactly. So instead I want to change those ones to counts. So no, it's actually why I'm streaming, because it's so fun to be able to show that it's possible. So instead, if there's an error, I'm gonna keep it. Now it's not correct, by the way. This is just for test. I'm gonna fill it. Let's see, calculating. It's slow as heck. There will be ones, but there will also be some 2s and 3, I think. Yeah, there's a 3 here, for example. So conditional formatting, just to be able to have it better. Manage rules. Okay. Let's do conditional formatting, new rule. Let's do 2 numbers color scale, green to yellow. Lowest can be white to, let's go green. What? Okay. That means we have numbers here. Nice. So instead, now it's the position number, but I want to have the count instead. And the count can be done with a index. So if it's a 1, I should have the first value. If it's 2, it should have first value. So in array, I should get the row number. And in this case, I can do it by taking this array. And if it's an error, it's just a 0. And it should not impact the part 1 actually. Because part 1 handles if count is more than 1. But it's too little. Right, I know what the problem is. I think I know what the problem is. O2, it should be freeze to columns. Calculating. It's 400,000 cells, so 400,000 is the formula to evaluate. And what you can see here is we have the counts. 5, 4, 2, 1. Cool. And to double check, we have still 379, which means that the info has the result of 378, which still was a correct one. Now I'm gonna try to see that if I have a shiny gold bag, I still want to do almost the same thing, but I want to see how many bags does it contain. That's not what I wanted. We have quite many. Yay! I got spammers. Achievement unlocked. Cool. What I'm thinking is that, is there a cycles in this direction which makes the increase? Because the thing is that when looking at problem 2, we should go on the other direction. So instead we should have the sum product of this column, but we should have it with a table which is this line, this column here, and that should work, I think. So we should get value 0, that's fine. But this table should be freezed and not mow, depending on where in this this it is. And B should mow with it, right? But it should be offsetted, and this should be fine still. So we should be able to mow this offset a couple of rows. Let's just put in to see if it still works as a formula. Yes, and the number of rows sideways should be which column we are on in this cell here. But we should do it by relative to C2. So you have a reference. And this doesn't make sense. Because if I put a 0 there, it works. But if I put a reference, it doesn't work. Returns the column number of. It should by the way be a row, but it shouldn't matter. So let's just put an index on the front. Because right, because Excel is really strange many times. So we take the A1 minus 1. Offset. Right. Oh, sorry. That makes sense. I shouldn't offset like that. A2 then. The shiny gold bag, right? Yeah, thanks for joining. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this one because my time might run out and it's a bit tricky. Oh right, I see what the problem is here. It should be offset there. which should make sense, 9 correctly. And in this case, right, and then end up with a 3,200 bags at the end here. So I start with 1 shiny gold, then that should contain 9, then 91, 635, which means that the sum of all those should be the correct result. So let's check. Result equals sum of part 2. But just remember the shiny gold bag is also there. And by that I'm gonna check if it says there. So a single shiny gold bag must contain 1 olive bag, and then 7 bags within it. So that means 8 plus 2 vibrant plume bags, 10, 21, but the gold bag itself. So 27, 572. 572 is too high. Let's take the original data again to the example to see what happens. Clear content and paste. So should still work. Info means part 1. Right. Let me fix this one. So we handle the correct size. So we have 4 there, which means that at least 1 shiny gold bag is 4. Part 2. And then we had the next one should be 29, 32. Right. So it should not be +2. So shiny gold bag is not included. Awesome. Go back to the input data again. Awesome. And then we're 25, 27, 7, 5, 26. And you get another star. So that's correct. Awesome. Yesterday's puzzle is done. There's 15 minutes left until I need to leave. Which means that I'm not planning to start that one just yet. I need to have a bit more time to solve it. But thanks for joining. What I have done, just to recap if you want to see, is that I have taken input data. I have parsed it by searching for different letters in it and trying to reduce the set of data. So I have a table for which I can see how many of that type of bag contains here. So this is basically a table that this bag contains 4 of those. That's what I'm using to be able to calculate which bag is containing, and the other one in the other direction. I was afraid that there should be a depth of a few hundred bags in bags, but it wasn't. So I'm fine. So this was the puzzle basically. And it was an interesting puzzle with, thanks Eva. It was in the program sense a quite simple puzzle with a lot of strange errors. So I'm happy to solve it. Today's puzzle is I think is even more interesting because it will actually include the computer architecture. It's about a machine that does those instructions. And it's quite interesting because it's the concept of computer architecture. So anyway, but since I don't have time to start with that, I'm thinking that I'm gonna wrap it up. Well job and good done. Thanks for joining, and hope seeing you sometime. And thanks for follow, by the way, Pete. I don't know if I remember to say it. You too, and possibly see you later. Think so. Bye. Thanks, Eric. And Miss Liability too. Bye. By the way, I know I have my mic still left, but I don't think there is any wants to stream to raid. So have fun.